Pete is joining us again. We have known Pete
I thought you
for
were letting me go.
no. We've known Pete for I don't know what 3 to 5 years, probably long 5 years. Probably
At
sounds
least
good.
5, yeah.
But had many good times. Went to some concerts together. Went to that one night of 8 hours of SmackDown. And you've been to my house for many movie night or game night or
so
whatever.
many times.
So many.
Bachelor
You were at my
party.
bachelorette. You were at my bachelor
I
party.
was at your bachelorette party. Yes, I was. It was a wonderful time at your bachelorette party.
Pete, we had to share a room. I remember that. We were like, me and Pete were like the two older dudes there,
Yes.
and we're just like, everybody's talking at like 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, you had your own room.
I was the older dude.
Yeah, me and Pete were like, these kids better shut up because we're tired.
I'm gonna.
I remember me and Pete were like,
oh, you kids, you meddling kids.
All right, well, we're moving into the top 8 now.
Okay, is this in the extended cut that we're going to talk more about that?
Yeah.
Is this the Pantheon subscribers?
Patreon.
Patreon
is a different one.
I'm thinking Pantene Pro V. I didn't know.
That's on our OnlyFans, where we talk about naughty Disney movies.
Oh, jeez.
All right, I'll see myself out. Good night.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Moving on, we do have the Mighty Ducks versus Moana.
I feel like this is so silly now. Like, I'm looking at the chart. I'm like, did we really choose the Mighty Ducks over Frozen 2?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
All right, I need to.
You got your Frozen, so that's all that matters.
The Mighty Ducks, which I'm gonna watch again very soon, has so many people in it. I hadn't forgotten who these people were. You've got Joshua Jackson, Emilio Estevez, but then you have Eldon Henson, who went on to be in Hunger Games. He was Foggy in Daredevil. He was in Butterfly Effect as Lenny. And then here's the craziest part for me, at least. Brandon Adams played Jesse Hall, who played a young Michael in Smooth Criminal and Bad, and also played in this amazing movie, if you haven't seen it, called The People Under the Stairs. It was a 90s or late 80s movie about two robbers that go into a house and find out that there are kids locked in the basement who are being mistreated, and they're trapped in the house with the crazy mother and father. But I think that's the same kid from The Sandlot too, later. But just so many people in the Mighty Ducks. But Moana is my choice. Moana, again, soundtrack, the story, the rock in it. I'm gonna go with Moana.
I mean, you have an older Joss Auckland in this movie. Oh, you put my face up again. That's great. So that's because he wants me to shut up. So the Joss Auckland in this used to be in a bunch of old movies. He plays the old guy Hans in the Mighty Ducks. I loved him in a bunch of his old films, and I didn't even realize he was in The Hunt for Red October. He was in Lethal Weapon movies, stuff like that. So he's actually, now that I'm looking at the IMDb page, thank you. It's Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. He was also in.
Oh.
I can throw out facts too. All right. So, but then, and then like him or hate him, Jesse Smollett was in this, and and then
I must have watched that People Under the Stairs thing about robberies, and was like,
anyway. So, and then there's Danny Tamborelli was in this. I don't know if you know who Danny Tamborelli is.
I don't.
You don't? Did you ever watch the old
hoping
show?
That we did, because he's like, I don't know.
I'm hoping. No. Well, please tell me. No, he was in The Adventures of Pete and Pete. He played the younger Pete.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know who that is now.
And he and actually, well, side note, he and the older Pete have a podcast now, tied in. But loved the cast. I agree. I would go Mighty Ducks myself because I'm nostalgia that way and fell asleep during Moana. But I would go Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, I mean,
so, please, questions or comments, please.
Yeah, please. Mighty Ducks is a feel-good movie. It's something that you can sit there with your kids anytime, and it's not gonna be life-changing for you. And as many times as I've watched it, I've kind of felt the same after every time watching. Like, that was cool, but it's not. I don't know. It's not life-changing. And somebody called out online, and it really kind of knocked me down a peg. It's kind of like Bad News Bears. It's kind of like a reboot of Bad News Bears. Like you got he's busted for a DUI. Now he's got to teach these kids. And he's kind of a disheveled human being, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, damn, yeah, that is exactly like Bad News Bears. So I was like, I don't know if I really like it as much anymore. Now it's kind of like the same.
But it's hockey.
Yeah,
it's Bad News hockey.
All right, Moana is moving on. We're leaving Mighty Ducks in the top 8. But next up, we have Remember the Titans versus the Muppets Christmas Carol. This is where we are, guys.
No, the Muppets Christmas Carol taught a lot about, racism. And, I'm sorry, wrong movie. No, Remember the Titans. This is such a weird combination of movies to put up against each other. Like, Remember the Titans, I feel like is bigger than Disney. Like the message behind it, the way the story was told, a true story, by the way. So many great actors in that movie. Like you almost forget who's in there. Donald Faison's in there too.
Yeah.
From Scrubs. That
so many.
Well, you mentioned a bunch of them. Ryan Gosling, right?
Here.
You want me to mention him again? Come on.
Ryan Hurst is in it. Ryan Hurst is in it as Jerry, but he's also Beta from The Walking Dead, and he's also in Sons of Anarchy as well.
Yeah.
The soundtrack alone to this movie. I mean, you go with the obvious stuff, the whole plot and everything else, but the soundtrack alone in this film. I mean, the long cool woman in a black dress during that whole montage, the boom, 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 like that whole montage was phenomenal. And I'd have to go Remember the Titans as well. I mean, it's just classic. I love the Muppets. The Muppets, any other bracket, this is so hard, but it's Remember the Titans.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Remember the Titans, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Spirit in the Sky, Peace Train, I Want to Take You Higher. A bunch. It's so good. And then they did a pretty good job also of making sure it followed somewhat close to what had happened, or at least even if it didn't happen there, it happened somewhere. Like all that stuff was real, but kind of mixed up. There was some differences, but I don't think that it took away from the movie. Like the car crash at the end happened at a different time. I think it happened after the games were over or something. I can't remember what exactly it was, but the time frame of that, the coach itself, Will Patton, who had Hayden Panettiere as his daughter, he actually had four kids. But it's funny, the actual real life guy. You what?
Did you say he had fart?
No, he had four kids.
Four kids.
Yeah. Someone rewind that. He definitely said fart.
He had four kids. He had 4 kids, and what's hilarious is actually. It's not hilarious at all, and you're going to hate me for this. Hayden Panettiere's character dies at 34 years old in real life. And the 3 remaining kids were completely fine with that character being the only child in the movie and them not being in it in order to honor her. But she actually did pass away at a very young age, at 33 or 34 or something like that. But I am going to go with Remember the Titans. It's something that I'm going to have my kids watch when they get a little older. So Remember the Titans for sure. All right, guys. Next up, we have Honey, I Shrunk. Now, see, this one seems okay. The 2 of these together, I'm okay with it. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids versus Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Oh, okay. Well, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was iconic in the sense of like the technology alone. I mean, these little itty bitty things. They shrunk it, but you saw some of the behind the scenes stuff because I used to watch Disney Channel constantly back then, and they'd show how they had this blade of grass, but it was the sets that they built for this were huge, and then at the same time not. I mean, they had the forced perspective and things like that, but like some of the big pieces that they built were amazing. So the ant and things like that, it was so cool in the way they did it, the behind the scenes alone, that and it was one of my favorite movies as a kid. So I'd have to go Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Okay.
It kind of frightened me as a child.
Yeah. That's part of the fun.
There's a lot of scary parts in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just these gigantic insects, like they're gonna eat you.
Sure.
So as a kid, I was a little terrified of the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a very, very long time, but I still to this day remember certain things about it. There's images of that movie that are stuck in my brain, probably out of fear. And I am currently in the middle of this Ralph Breaks the Internet craze that my daughter is going through. So I watch it constantly, and it's such a great movie. Like, it's such a cool concept. Like, they go into the internet. There's a part where they go into that's like almost like fossils of like lost memories of the internet. It's got like GeoCities in there and like Netscape.
That was witty. That was witty.
Navigator, all that cool stuff. A lot of names in there: Sarah Silverman, Jane Lynch, Jack McBrayer, John O'Reilly as Ralph. Like, perfect. Like, that was made for him, like that character. Because he just plays that dope so well. I gotta go with Ralph Breaks the Internet. Even though Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a revolutionary movie, like what you're saying, Pete, like the way they did things. But I think Ralph Breaks the Internet could be a modern classic.
So it's essentially two movies that go into pieces of the world that you never would see. So like in the grass and little minuscule size on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and the internet. I mean, places that was you're right.
You're wrong. I am actually ant size right now. This is actually a shoebox that I'm in.
I've met you, yes. I know but you're right. Like, it was very interesting the way they went into the whole internet. But RJ hasn't spoken yet, and we'll I guess I'll let him talk.
That's true. I'm actually really torn because Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a classic. It's something that I will watch to this day. I just showed my kids it not too long ago. I do love it. I remember those scenes too, like the life-size Oreo cookie, I think it was in the backyard, and thinking how awesome that would be. I'm really happy, and I don't think they showed any spiders in it. I would have immediately deleted this movie if there was large spiders in it.
I was surprised you like big Oreo in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. Ralph Breaks the Internet is a new classic for me. I've seen it once. I want to go see it again, and if I go see it again, I'd vote for it. But I think because I've only seen Ralph Breaks the Internet once, I can't really tell you too much about it other than some of the cool stuff. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is classic. I am going to go with it. The two sequels that came off of it, I actually like too. The Big Baby and the second one. And all four of the family comes back for that one. It's the third one that only Rick Moranis comes back for. And even that one is still pretty good. And I am super excited for Disney Plus's version that's going to be coming out. So Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is moving on.
Cool.
They're gonna make it a musical like Hamilton.
I'm all right with that as long as Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing it.
That'd be hilarious. He's just a gigantic ant singing.
My name is Wayne Zelinsky. All right, guys, this is the last one in the top 8. We have Frozen versus, The Lion King.
Oh, come on.
Guys, this is tough for me. I'll start off. Frozen for me is way more memorable. I watched The Lion King as a child once. I then watched it again with my kids years later, but Frozen I saw for like a year straight. And I'm tired of it now. But every song on there, I don't know. I'm torn. Guys, what about you? We've already got someone. Caitlin is saying Lion King all the way.
Thank you.
Tina is just saying things.
Eel boy. That's from Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Okay.
Man,
and I'm gathering the B is from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Tina, thank you.
I would definitely say Lion King all the way. That's when you think Disney movies in the 90s, you think Lion King. And just the soundtrack alone, I mean, then it turned into what was it? One of the first Disney Broadway shows. And that alone, the artistry that they did in that production was incredible. So, but I mean, that's not here nor there on this one, but still, like Elton John doing the soundtrack. I gotta go Lion King. Just it's iconic. It's more. I mean, yes, Frozen is a new icon in the Disney, circle of trust. I don't know, circle of life. There we go. But
circle of trust. That's
the circle of trust.
Oh, I'm gonna go. Yeah. I wanted to. Robert De Niro plays. Never mind. All right, so
awesome. You play Simba.
Hakuna Matata, kid. That's not gonna Robert. That's a horrible Robert De Niro.
So, in an interview, Idina Menzel claimed that her young son boasted to his classmates that his mom sung the songs from Frozen. Their reply back to him was, "So does everyone else's mom."
and a tie-in to Rhode Island. I mean, it's the folks from Rhode Island wrote that score. So wrote the movie, wrote the score. One of those.
Oh, nice, interesting.
I learned that on my 11 o'clock news after the Academy Awards.
So a movie that we left out, Zootopia, which was another good one. Alan Tudyk played in the Duke of Weselton in Frozen. Went on to be Duke Weaselton in Zootopia. So that was really cool. He played a weasel in Zootopia. This is hard for me. Lion King is a classic. I'm not going to deny that. But Frozen is just more my thing. All the songs, I can sing you all the songs. Frozen has broken so many records. Also, something I found out today, Hans Christian Andersen is the thought behind this, and the characters of Hans, Kristoff, Anna, Sven is actually a throwback to his name. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I am gonna go with Frozen.
Tina says that she kind of hates Frozen, even though we watch it constantly. But I can't watch Lion King because it makes me cry. I agree. Lion King is really, really sad. This was a movie that my brother watched constantly every day. Every day we watched Lion King, sometimes more than once. I grew to hate it very, very quickly. However, it is hilarious. Timon and Pumbaa.
Yes.
Fantastic. There's quite a not safe for kids moment there with Nala and Simba on the low. Like,
I love how you're talking about the love moment, not the time that Scar gets burned alive towards the end.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Or when Mustafa gets trampled. Like, man, there's some parts in there that are hardcore for kids. It's hardcore for adults. Like, we're talking about it right now, where we're like, oh man, like that's a lot. It's a lot to process.
But you got to go with the voice cast too, though, of The Lion King. You got James Earl Jones, Matthew Broderick, Nathan Lane, Whoopi Goldberg's in that movie. I mean,
JPP, as I said before.
Exactly, and all these
Mr. Bean,
phenomenal, right? All these greats are in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, you got your new school, but the old school was amazing.
RJ just left. He was just in such disarray over this. So let's talk more about Lion King and why it's a scary movie. So we got that's going on with Lion King. Frozen is another deep movie. Like the parents are on the ship and they're not coming back. Another twisted message is
still sad.
Yeah, like the acceptance piece. Like, here's Elsa, who's different than everybody else because of her powers. What are we going to do? We're going to lock you up for the rest of your life in your room and you can't see anybody. And your sister that loves you. And your sister's now
the people under the stairs.
You're talking about themes. You want thematically. Oh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff to process here in these two movies, but something about The Lion King, I don't want to watch it for some reason. It's too much for me emotionally. I'm sorry. I gotta go Frozen. Man, Lion King is the best selling, like, what is it, of home videos of all time.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy. But I think
Pete bought it on VHS.
I have it on VHS. I do.
I'm pretty sure we have it.
Probably have 2 or 3 copies of it.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it
When I know my wife had it as a kid, I had it as a kid, so I know we at least have 2 copies.
In a year, Frozen grossed over $1 billion.
But that was the internet was around for Frozen. Lion King was AOL.
I mean, you're gonna have money when Lion King was around.
That's true. That's all they could see was movies back then. You know.
Yeah. What else was there?
Is your choice Frozen or is it the
picture tubes?
Frozen.
All right, so Frozen is moving on. We just kicked out the number 4 movie on the 10 greatest films of animation.
Rotten Tomatoes, 10,000%.
I mean, I'm kind of frustrated by this, but that's okay. That's all right.
Well, guys, I want to point out what our top 4 movies are right now, and just show you that we must be drunk. Here it is: Moana, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Remember the Titans, and Frozen. We live in a world.
I think that's a good 4.
I mean, I do too, but it doesn't make any sense.
That's
Moana and Frozen, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and actually, we did bring 2 old school and 2 new school ones into the top 4. I'm pretty excited about that. But
that's better than I thought was going to happen when I saw that list. So
it's the way of the random brackets. Anything can happen. Like,
yep.
And any other day, it's probably going to be Frozen versus Lion King in the main event. I feel like we just chose a main event quality matchup right there. So,
well, first off, we've got Moana versus Remember the Titans. I am gonna go, and I know that's a crazy pairing, and they are totally different things. But Moana, I thought it broke a lot of records at the time. It also broke a lot of things. I think it was the I forgot what is the nationality in Moana. I feel like I should know that.
Did they really say it? It's kind of just
I can't remember, but also on the same thing with Disney Plus. Disney Plus just announced Moana is getting a TV series in 2023 as well. Alan Tudyk was in that as Hey as well. So Alan Tudyk has been everywhere. I want to talk real quick. Tudyk voiced King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph. He Duke of Weselton in Frozen 2. He was Big Hero 6. He was Duke Weaselton in Zootopia. He was Hey in Moana. He was Knowsmore in Ralph Breaks the Internet, among a bunch of other stuff. And most importantly, Firefly and Serenity back in the day. But I'm going to go with Moana on this one. Remember the Titans. You have to be in the mood to watch racism at its highest, which is it's hit or miss. Moana is just a feel good movie. It's real good. The Rock. I'm in a Lin-Manuel Miranda kick with music. So Moana is my choice.
It's funny. You're like, oh, you got to be in the moment. We're living in it. Like that message is just as strong.
That's true.
Today as it was then.
Right.
But it's been done before as well. Like, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, but I'm saying like that story's been kind of
we've heard it.
Yeah, right. On MLK Day.
Can we do a tournament of top movies that deal with racism? I feel like we should do that. There are so many good ones. So many.
You know what? That might be a good thing to talk about.
Really depressing tournament, but we're going for it.
Well, it's really. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a depressing movie because it talks about unity and it brings people together. That's an important thing to talk about, whether it was then or now, probably more than ever now. But as far as the movies go, if I have to sit down and watch the two, I'm going to choose Moana as far as a Disney movie. Like I feel almost silly, like saying we're talking about such a serious topic here and I'm saying Moana, but it is such a great movie. It's got a great soundtrack. Every character in that movie is terrific. Like Maui, I feel like is bigger than the movie almost because The Rock played it. You're Welcome, like that song. Like even if you never watched Moana, I feel like you're welcome. Like,
sure.
So Yeah, I'm gonna go with Moana. It's just, yeah.
Pete, even though your opinion doesn't matter, what do you think?
Well, hey, I get it. This is a dad podcast. I mean, it's you're watching Moana with your kids for sure. But for me, I'm going to go Remember the Titans. I know it doesn't matter in this case because I'm outvoted, but I think it's a movie that was sadly in a way ahead of its time for the topics, ahead of its time and way behind the eight ball for its topics. So it's kind of like that whole, if you know what I'm trying to say here. So, but I mean, the movie itself was phenomenal. A great cast. It tackled very important subject matter. Phenomenal soundtrack. Moana was phenomenal as well. Hey, I loved the soundtrack to that movie. I will now go and watch it on Disney Plus, drink some caffeine, and stay awake during it because I know a lot of people rave about it. I loved it. I loved it as far as the soundtrack. But yeah, I'll go with Remember the Titans just out of principle. Moana does deserve to go on.
I'm telling you, watch the behind the scenes stuff on Moana. It's going to make you appreciate it so much more.
Sure.
Just the all out, like they wanted to make sure it was accurate. Because their people respect land and the water and the ancestry of they're Polynesian like explorers, and like they were the true explorers. They used to one person out there and they would find new land. Like the story behind it is so amazing that almost takes the movie. It took the movie to a whole new level for me. I was kind of like, it's Moana. And then I watched that and I was like, wow, this is so much more.
And you piqued my interest with it. I mean, with that whole some of the story behind it, what they tried to do to make it, as true to the characters they're portraying. I respect that. So I think it's a great movie to go on.
All right. Well, Moana is moving on. Our final two, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids versus Frozen. Again, a tough one for me, but I'm just going to go with who you think I'm going to go with, and it's going to be Frozen. Frozen soundtrack spent 13 weeks at number one on the Billboard 200, not to mention the many, many awards. I won't even name them, but Let It Go was particularly praised on a number of award shows. But Frozen, I don't know, like Kristen Bell's amazing. Jonathan Groff is amazing. I thought the story was really good. If not, you knew it was coming, but it was still a good story. Olaf, who only was made better in Frozen 2. There was also a Frozen Spring Fever in the middle. I think it was called Spring Fever. So I'm just going to go with Frozen on this one. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids definitely peaks because it's my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it since my childhood, and it's probably not as good as I remember it being when I was a child. It doesn't like stack up, to today's stuff, but it was still really, really good. Rick Moranis is one of the best people on earth. And just a cool all around dude. That dude quit acting just to be a dad.
Just take care of his kids.
So that deserves a dad podcast shout out for sure. Yeah. If I can be half of Rick Moranis, then I will be a great dad.
Yeah.
But I'm going to vote for Frozen on that one.
I feel like I need to give Andy the last word on this because he's going to be the tiebreaker. I'm just, I was looking up a couple things on this because I wanted to remember a couple of the scenes. The Cheerios scene in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, they use 16,000 gallons of milk for that scene. And then like Chevy Chase and John Candy were up for Rick Moranis' role before Rick Moranis took it. I can't imagine either of them in that role after you've seen the movie that you had because it was, it's Rick Moranis. So that alone, what?
Can you imagine Chevy Chase in that role?
Oh, it wouldn't be a beloved movie anymore, I think.
Oh, I don't know, but it was
most hated character on Community.
But it's my childhood. Loved that movie. I know Frozen's going to take it home, but I got to choose. I got to go with my gut and go Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
You know, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was almost not called that. Originally, they were going to be called a different name, and then they found out it's actually a biography about RJ's life. It's actually called Teeny Weenies.
Yes, I saw that. Oh
God,
I saw. I got to that part of the IMDb page as well, but I'm glad that you.
Thank you. I almost forgot all about it. Yeah, but besides those few scenes, I don't really remember much about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like I said, it stuck with me for a long time, the specific scenes. Mm-hmm. But as far as like the overarching story, Andy is a teeny. Good comeback, Dad. But yeah, Frozen. It's gonna be Frozen for me. You can't go anywhere. Still to this day, they're still selling from stuff from the original movie.
Hey,
my house, go in my daughter's room. It's just bins and bins of Frozen crap. It is my life, unfortunately. But there's a reason. It's a terrific movie. There's a reason why they've made so many shorts from it, why they remade it, why there's maybe a potential Frozen 3. Maybe. I don't know. There's could be more to the story. Because Frozen 2 didn't do it because we kicked it out in the first one.
Producers, if you're out there, he wants to write the screenplay.
I will be Olaf Jr.
Frozen shrunk down into the backyard. It's just the two princesses in the backyard.
And Olaf's the giant.
Oh, that's great.
Tina says they're doing a Let It Go online dance class this Saturday. I'm gathering that's Zoe and not just Tina and Andy.
No, it's just me.
All right, guys, this is it. Is the final two. I'm sure Pete's not happy, but Moana versus Frozen is the arch nemesis of the 2010s.
See you later.
Moana versus Frozen. I feel like this is probably an argument that is had a lot, but this is it. Frozen and Moana.
All right.
Man, Frozen again. Let me start with Moana. I really like Moana. I really think that The Rock being in it is awesome. Lin-Manuel Miranda being in it. The fact that they used Cravalho as well as the lead there, who was born with a Hawaiian descent. And I just thought that was really cool. They kind of brought someone on who was fresh. The song is awesome from that as well, that she sings. But Frozen altogether for me is just more memorable. I really like Frozen 2. I'm kind of mad it didn't make it further because I might like Frozen 2 more than I like Frozen. But my vote's Frozen, guys.
Listen, when you're stacked up against Emilio Estevez, just
I know. It's Mighty Ducks all day when it comes to that, but that's all right.
I feel like that's like a redo. I feel like we need to redo that first round.
You gotta re-randomize it.
Yeah. Pete, what's your take? I already know your take since you fell asleep. They're one of them.
I'm gonna have to go Moana.
Really?
I guess I have to go based on the movie I've seen. All the way through. Look, my heart is telling me that the Mighty Ducks should have won it all. And actually, my heart is telling me Gus, the field goal kicking donkey movie that didn't even make the bracket, should have won it all. D3. But that's all right. D4, the Mighty Ducks are old. I guess I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to let this whole bracket go and go Frozen.
Oh, with that being said, Andy, you want to add to it?
No, it would have been Frozen for me. Yeah. Out of the two, it's the better movie. It's the one that's going to be sticking around for a long time. It draws an audience to it. More than Moana, even though Moana is, like I said, terrific movie, definitely deserves to be up here in the final. Actually, did you know that? Do you remember Tamatoa?
Mm-hmm.
What was it supposed to be? Was he a giant crab?
Yeah,
It was actually based on David Bowie.
I did.
So go watch that scene.
I mean, I'm excited about this movie now. I want to go.
Little crab once.
I wish I had watched. I wish I had watched Moana again because I do love Lin-Manuel. I like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I like can I change my pick since Frozen's going to win anyway? Let's go Moana. There you go.
All right. Well, there you go. That has it. Frozen is our winner of the top Disney movie of all time. Guys, as we always do, and people at home as well, what are some things or movies that that should be on this list that weren't, or that you definitely were glad were not on this list?
There's like a lot.
Let's start with Pete.
Okay.
He's got a lot.
You're starting with me because I'm the one that came up with the biggest list out of all you. I'm looking at your choices and I'm going, you all are young.
I left out a lot that I love. I just didn't think would ever beat some of the ones that were on this list.
Sure. I got you. I mean, I gotta go. The Flubber franchise was great. I did that mainly because I saw you taking a drink. I mean, the Absent-Minded Professor movies were really big when I was watching them on Disney because they were second run. And then Robin Williams. You talk Robin Williams, he did a great job in the remake of it. I don't think it deserved necessarily to be in the brackets, but those are movies that need to be talked about because that's early Disney, and a lot of that early technology or early special effects that they did with some of that stuff, it gets forgotten sometimes. A movie that I've been telling you guys about all week that I'm sure none of you went to watch, and I've also mentioned it, was Gus, the field goal kicking donkey. That movie has Don Knotts, Barney Fife, Andy Griffith. It's got Tim Conway from Carol Burnett Show. It's got Ed Asner, that many of the kids today know.
More.
Yep, and all the kids today know from Elf. And then Bob Crane, Hogan's Heroes. So it's that movie was phenomenal. I got to go back and watch it now because I used to watch that with my dad quite a bit. But I mean, I could keep going on. The Rescuers Down Under was the very first movie I saw in a drive-in theater. That one was a great movie. And then you got to remember the original classics: your Pinocchio, your Dumbo, your Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Lady and the Tramp. Oh, and then
so many we left off.
So many, and then Darby O'Gill and the Little People and Zorro. Sorry, go ahead.
They're boring, though. They're boring. I'm sorry, but they're boring.
The computer wore tennis shoes, man. Early,
like you're talking about falling asleep through Moana. Shame on you. Like if it was before 1980, fall asleep. Be my guest.
Herbie Rides Again.
Fantasia, I'm sure, is a movie that people will probably complain about not being on there. Cinderella, Snow White. But again,
the Apple Dumpling Gang, man.
Get out of here. Mulan, probably.
Yeah, that's a bit on the list.
That was a really good movie. If we're talking newer movies, again, a movie that I'm forced to watch constantly are the Descendants series. Not anything that was on a big screen. It was
we didn't count those because they were TV movies.
Yeah, right. But I'm sure people could complain about that one, as everybody complains about everything nowadays. So
I mean, I'm already complaining.
I'm there too. So who might argue?
Angels in the Outfield didn't make it. So
what was the one? Heavyweights.
Heavyweights.
Little Giants.
So, all right, the way I look at this, I look at really early movies, my childhood movies, and new movies for me. So really old, the oldest one I had on there was 1973's Robin Hood, which was about the fox as Robin Hood, I think it was. That was one of the first movies I can remember watching for Disney. Return to Oz, the Oz sequel, was actually much better than people give it credit for. Flight of the Navigator was also an amazing movie that people don't really know a lot about. 90s for me, I really wanted to see Homeward Bound, their series in here. Blank Check, even though a young child kisses a grown woman for no reason. Air Bud, the first one was really cool. And then like the movies of now, The Game Plan, Race to Witch Mountain, Oz the Great and Powerful was actually a really cool movie. Into the Woods was almost on our list, which was another good one. Zootopia, the Jungle Book remake, Pete's Dragon remake.
I mean, it's my dragon.
And then one I just saw that I wouldn't put on the list, but I thought was great was Clouds on Disney Plus, which was a great story of a kid who wants to become a musician, ends up getting cancer, and then becomes a musician anyway, and gets to kind of make it big right before he succumbs. So that's not giving anything away. It's part of the whole story, but it's very good. Hamilton would have been on the list if we included the play, because that is amazing. Probably one of the best things I've seen in years, but
yes.
But Flight of the Navigator. Yeah. Andy, you haven't seen that, right?
One of my favorite movies. I was so upset when that didn't make it on. Did you choose that, RJ? Was that on your list?
I did. So technically we could have put it on there, but Andy didn't know it, and I knew it wasn't going to make it far without.
Okay.
RJ was like, D2 is way too important to not.
I think you wanted D2, not me.
I mean, I had D2 on my list.
Sorry, guys, I'm still alive. I didn't realize I was by myself on there.
he loves to look at himself. So
I can see you guys below it, and I think that it's part of the stream, but it's not.
That's all right. I appreciate it.
RJ always sees himself above us.
I don't know what you're talking about, guys, but anyways, hey guys, it is this is probably a two-parter at this point. For when we release this podcast, this is the third.
Edit so much
hey,
this is a 3-hour mark.
Stay around for the dark match. We have so much more. So
we are going to go. So the next podcast is Disney's best mediocre movies, which it will include all the ones we just talked about.
I'll be back.
I was going to say D2 will also somehow make that list.
Also, the Freaky Friday remake with Jamie Lee Curtis will be on there,
and the Princess Diaries
and Holes. But
Princess Diaries I went to see with my folks, and my dad and I were in the theater, and we're both like slinking down in our chair because we're the only guys there. Then another guy walks in and we go, "Oh, brotherhood," like so that you can edit that part out of the podcast. That's perfect. But I just wanted to have a little confession. I want to do a little confession time here during the dark match.
So a movie that I haven't seen that I was just reminded of.
Like I'm moving on.
That I really want to see was Swiss Family Robinson. There was a couple versions of it. I love the concept. It's kind of like Family Gilligan's Island, right? And so I want to go back and watch. There's two versions, I think. One from the 60s and another one maybe from the 80s or something. But if they could remake Swiss Family Robinson now, I'd watch that. That's like Castaway, Gilligan's Island, Lost, all in one. You're good to go. Yeah.
No, that's great.
No polar bears, but
I always wanted a treehouse like they had.
Yeah, it was cool. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us on the Udamia Hello podcast. Thank you to Pete for taking time out of his busy schedule to be with us.
So busy.
But we thank you again, and also feel free to check us out on YouTube and Spotify and all of that. We also have music, V-Rap, RJ Gunn. We got music coming out every Friday, or pretty much every Friday. And soon, breaking news, we're going to release an album of a lot of the songs that have been put out already, kind of pack them into one thing, remaster them. So I'm looking forward to that. It looks to be our first 10 or 12 songs that we've released into an album. So feel free to get that for free on Spotify, or send us Venmo money if you want, because of how great it is.
It's going to be number one on iTunes.
Number one on iTunes. We have 0 plays on iTunes, I think. You're Spotify only because it's free. But anyways, thank you guys.
Even that's pushing it.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Pete, stay on after we go off live.
You bet.
And so we can have you sign that contract. But we'll talk to you guys later.